What's going on, race fans? It's Cavalcade Sports time again here at the Jamboree, home of the hits. That's some
Freaking
Glassjaw
hate
for
you.
you. But we don't have Glassjaw on. Who we do have though is we've got our homie Mitch. He's from Saturdays at Your Place, and he's hanging with us for a little bit, and he's gonna chat about some cool shit that the band's got going on, some tours they got going on, and we'll definitely talk about the new record that came out back last fall, which has been awesome. We've been loving it over here. It looks like it's gotten a pretty good response from people as well. As far as you could see from this kind of, it's called like a 6-month snapshot. How have you found that the record has been received? Have you found that people have been given it its due?
Yeah, it's awesome. We've been blown away by the response to it. It was a bit nerve-wracking being it had been, a good 2 or 3 years since we'd done a proper release before that. So, to kind of go all in on a, full album and put that out and, put all the work into it. It was definitely a bit you never know exactly what it's going to look like, how people are going to respond to it. But we've had people coming out to shows and super excited about it. It's been really cool to see.
Amen. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mentioned before we started recording how, I'm approaching 39, like I'm turning 39 in a couple of weeks, and it's not always so easy to give bands a fair chance of like actually sitting down and listening to an album front to back. Tom likes to get on me for that because sometimes just going and listening to singles every once in a while is kind of the amount of attention I can give to music. And I will say that I sat down with this release multiple times this week, and I guess having like a 24-minute banger, right? Like, is that the official like track listing? Is like 24 minutes for this album?
Yeah, that sounds right. I remember adding it up when we finished it.
So that's like perfect for me. That's like my commute.
Encroaching onto Joyce Manor territory over here.
Yeah, we made jokes like that.
14
yeah, but
songs.
they'd have 18 songs
minutes.
on the album, and it would still have the same runtime.
Right, exactly, yeah.
24 minutes for me is a perfect amount of time for an album because that's about how long my commute takes. Where, if you get a little bit
Nice.
longer, I have to break up the album and then it's not the same. And I guess that's why I kind of have leaned away from albums, because my commute is a little bit shorter these days. So it seemed like a perfect amount of time where I was able to listen to it a few times start to finish, and taking away things every single time I listened.
That's sweet. Yeah, I'm glad you're connecting with it, dude. There's so much music now, especially with the way things are with the internet and everything. Everything is so accessible. That it feels like you can never get to all of it. So the fact that we're kind of cutting through the noise and like still ending up on people's radars feels really cool. Feels like we're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely are. That's without a doubt. Just the way the record kind of flows harmoniously. It's just a really seamless sounding record. It just, everything sounds kind of attached and gelled together, which is a really nice thing. I mean, how like records can get in this like quote unquote Midwest emo space, if you want to call it that. Sometimes you can start to get these tropes that come and go in these records, and they can get a little, low. This band's doing that again, or this, chorus sounds like that again. But I really feel like, you guys really, on this record, at least, I feel like it's more, it's more like pop centric than it is anything else. Like, it's just like, it's like good, well written songs that like don't necessarily have these like little tropey parts to them. It kind of like reminds me of like of a band like Max Seal, like how they kind of started as more of like a Midwest emo-y, twinkly kind of band, and then has sort of gravitated away from that, and are now just really writing, like, in my mind, like really incredible, pop rock music. And was it a conscious choice for you guys to write a little bit more like a structured pop style versus, a little bit more of like that emo flair, or did you find that it was kind of something that pervaded the texture of what you guys were listening to at the time, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I know what you're picking up on there, and we've had people point that out before. I think that comes from the three of us kind of drawing from like very different spheres of influence. So like I grew up listening to some heavier music when I was younger, and I'm really into like the riffy stuff and the kind of like in your face guitar parts. Gabe listens to a ton of pop music. So Yeah, you'll definitely hear that come through on the songs that he's written and the ones that he sings. Like in those, like Gabe can write hooks like all day long. Um, and Esden, you know, he listened to a lot of punk music and stuff growing up, and now he's kind of like softening up and like listening to a ton of like pop stuff and getting into the emo stuff too. So we're all kind of coming from a different direction. Um, and just you know, by the time we all get in the room together and we, you know, we bring the influences that each of us have, we end up in a really interesting middle ground that like kind of forces us to sidestep a lot of those repetitive tropes because um you know, like if I bring a song idea and it's kind of like busy and riffy, but like Gabe has a cool melody that might like fit with it, but we have to like kind of carve out some of the busyness from the guitar part to make that fit, then like I'm still sitting on that and like I'll be pushing that into another song and we get these influences that kind of like shuffle themselves around through the album and we'll end up with like a range of styles. Like you know, like if you take I Give In and Cross My Heart, like those are two very different sounding songs.
Yeah.
But they kind of like are each end of the spectrum of, you know, styles that we brought into this album. And then by the time you string the whole album together, there's this kind of like arc from one to the other. Um so it creates a bit of a challenge for us in that we have like, you know, it's scattershot sometimes it can feel like, or like, you know, we cast such a wide net with our sound in some ways that to try and like rein it in and get it all to sound right on one release can be it's definitely a fun challenge.
And I think it's so cool, like how you mentioned all these different kind of backgrounds you have in the type of songwriting that you guys bring to the table. And, you know, me being a newer fan, you know, I first just listened on Spotify. And then as I like did a deeper dive, I started watching some of your music videos and I was just like, holy crap, like this song, the drummer is singing. And then this song, the bassist is singing. And like they have their own little flares to their, you know, vocal delivery and kind of yeah, like yes, they still sound like Saturdays at Your Place, but like also kind of sound like like a little twist on the sound as well. And I just thought that was so cool and so dynamic to have, you know, different members singing different songs.
Yeah, it's you know, it started out because we were like college buddies who just wanted to play music with each other. And we weren't too worried about like, you know, what we were writing at the time or even like, you know, imagining this really going anywhere. We wrote some songs and started playing some house shows. And then, you know, we kind of got into the local scene and we start like kind of getting into the same bands that we're playing with. And we start like drawing influence from the same place like once we've started to be around the same bands and start to tour with a couple bands and you know, it's just kind of cool that, you know, it's every song is me playing the guitar, Esden playing the bass, Gabe playing the drums. So it's all gonna kind of have, you know, some similar flavors in there. But we each have such a heavy hand in writing all of it. And there are some songs that like there are songs on the most recent release where like I wrote the bulk of it or Esden wrote the bulk of some and like Gabe wrote the bulk of some and they each like they're distinct and like once you know who wrote what you can kind of pick them out but still you know half the fun of being in the studio is once we have all these songs written they might start out the demos might sound like completely different bands but you know with the each of us demoing them out but by the time we take them into the studio and we're working on them together and we're all sitting in the room together that's when we really kind of like you know, it melds into this thing that becomes like kind of the Saturdays at Your Place sound that we're starting to find.
Now, I do want to definitely spend way more time talking these things happen. However, you did mention how you're a bunch of college buddies, and like that was something that really, when I was doing my deep dive, like stood out to me because I don't know, maybe my college experience was different than yours. Like emo adjacent music wasn't very dominant at my college and like not many like-minded people, and like my school didn't have like the best like student union that was putting on like cool shows on my college campus or anything like that, kind of like a jock school, and if you could like pigeonhole it. What was Western Michigan like? Like was there its own little scene there, or like did you guys have to branch out from there?
Well, we're really lucky. It served as a really good like kind of launch pad for us as a DIY band. Kalamazoo has a very like huge DIY scene, and like there's a whole neighborhood. It's called the Vine neighborhood, and we have a nod to it in the lyrics to Coffee Cups. But the in the Vine neighborhood, it's a bunch of they're all like rental homes. And there's a bunch of students that live here, and there's just people sacrificing their security deposits to hold shows in the basements. And I knew nothing about this when I moved out there to go to school. So I'm there, and within a month or two, I meet some people who take me to a house show, and I was hooked from the start. Like, this was the coolest thing in the world to me. It's just you and 20 other people in a basement with some band that, like, half the people in the room have never even heard of them, but they're just there for the noise, like, they're there for the music. And kinda, we kinda fell in love with that, and then, once we had the band formed and we started playing some house shows, you start to hear about, this band's going on tour, and like they're playing like this string of like 10 or so college towns. And it's these other towns that also have this kind of DIY scene, the basements that people are hosting shows at. And you start to meet, like friends of friends of friends. And eventually you meet the right person who can string together like a run of those shows for you. So we really, because Kalamazoo was such a like common stop on these DIY tours, there were enough people kind of like in that circuit who had, they know the right names, and if they, uh, if they like you, they get along with you well, they'll send you out. You can do a lap of the college towns that the other guys are doing, or the other bands, and we kind of got into it that way. So we were lucky it was there and very accessible for us.
And you guys
I
didn't
think
know
that's the
each other
beauty of
before?
Sorry, what was that?
Did you guys know each other before, or you actually like met at college?
We met at college, so we all Gabe and Esden were in a music program there, and I was going to school for something else, but we all had a mutual friend that uh they met him through the music program. I met him through house shows or something, but we all ended up getting introduced through this guy. And we all met after we were in college through, a string of mutual friends, the way people meet in college.
And I was gonna say that's like the beauty of Kalamazoo too. It's such an is like really cool spot where you're like 2.5 hours from Chicago, 2.5 hours from Detroit, 4 hours from Toronto, essentially, or 5 hours from Toronto. Like you're in this really cool spot where you're surrounded by so many different scenes that are slowly blowing up. So like if you wanted to do a show in like Kalamazoo, or if you wanted to go to the next town over to Battle Creek or Ann Arbor or Grand Rapids, like you have this like array of college towns all around you, like even Fort Wayne or South Bend, if you wanted to go down there, that it's like such a
Mhm.
really cool spot to be in. And then you have tours that also just go through Kalamazoo. So I think you guys were like in like almost like the perfect place in like the quote unquote Midwest to be able to really kind of like string along some of these like tours and runs as you were like really growing as an early band.
Yeah, it's definitely a lucky position to be in. And you say touring, it is really accessible for touring, but also, I remember working a day job, and I'd get off from work, we'd drive to Chicago, play a show, and I'd get home and still have time for 3 hours of sleep before I have to wake up and go to work in the morning. Like, it's there's like 3 or 4 solid cities that you could do that with,
Yeah.
Indianapolis, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Chicago. It's very central for, the big Midwest markets. So, that worked out really well for us. But it also, like you said, being the midpoint between Detroit and Chicago, we get so many DIY bands that just add a day there between those 2 big cities. Because it's kinda got this reputation now for, like I said, like, if there's a house show, people are showing up even if they haven't heard of the band. Sometimes that's even more exciting, because if you've been seeing the same 7 bands playing basements for the better part of the last year, then some new guys are coming through. It's like a chance to, like, see some new faces, get to meet some
Yeah,
new people.
definitely.
Um, yeah.
I'm just curious, like, now that you are a few years removed from these, like, basement shows, what were some of those bands that they maybe stopped by and played some of these college shows that have now become, like, household names in our scene?
Oh, well, uh we're kind of recently broken out, at least in the sense of like other bands that I think of that came up through DIY. Obviously, they're way ahead of us. They did this a long time before us, but Hot Mulligan started out playing house shows too. You can dig up. There's some really good videos on YouTube of them playing basements. I have heard, but not personally confirmed, that I guess Modern Baseball played a basement in Kalamazoo at one point. Free Throw, those guys love reminiscing on the DIY days when they were, carrying all their shit in and out of basements of strangers. So it's at least in our corner of the scene, it does feel like a rite of passage in some way. It's definitely like more often than not when we meet another band touring like this, they they cut their teeth playing in basements. Prince Daddy and the Hyena too.
Well, I was gonna
Jason
say
Voorhees.
we've talked about this on our podcast before, but I actually got to go to one of the dudes from Prince Daddy and the Hyenas like actual childhood home because he used to like host shows. It was called the Ice House in like outside of
Was it
Albany.
Corey?
Yeah, Corey.
Yeah.
Y- Yeah, so like
Um,
I was living in Albany at the time, and Dikembe and this band My Mouth is the Speaker were playing, and I happened to love both of those bands. I was like, yeah, let me go catch this show. I never heard of this venue before, but I'll give it a shot. And then me, my wife, and her friends show up, and it's literally a house show. And years
mhm,
later, it comes out that Corey from Prince Daddy was actually the one who was like the kid that put that show on.
that's cool. Uh, yeah, Corey's awesome. Prince Daddy, they're good friends of ours. They actually just on the tour in the fall, the US tour we did for These Things Happen. The Pontiac show, Prince Daddy drove out to be on that show. They drove all the way from Albany
Wow.
That's
to
so
play that
sick.
one with us. Yeah, it was really cool to get to see them there.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
shout out Prince Daddy with the new record coming out in a
Oh
couple of
yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That
got
that new single's awesome.
yeah, we got to get Corey on. We've been trying to needle in his ear about getting him on, and he's just a hard man to reach.
Yeah. I'll shoot him a text and see if I
Yeah,
can push him your way.
yeah, just nudge him in the right direction. Just be like, these guys
Yeah.
talk about you every episode. Like it's time to fish your cup bait, man. Um, so so let's go back to the EP. So you know that one you guys put out on No Sleep, right? Is that correct? Was that on No Sleep?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I know a lot of bands have had some trouble with No Sleep, and you know, I get it. You know, I don't think there are a lot of record labels that are doing things the right way. You know,
Yeah.
even now, you know, not to force you to go into it too much or anything like that, but you know, what was the experience like with No Sleep? Like, you know, how did it kind of all go down for you guys?
We were really excited to get the offer because it's a label with cool history.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, they've got an impressive roster, or at least they did at one point. So we were excited about it. Obviously there's the nerves with being, uh, we were all like maybe, yeah, I don't know, we're like 22 years old, 21, 22, and we like got this contract in front of us, and we have no idea what to do with it. We ended up signing it, and it was cool. We got a lot of eyes on us from it. It made it look like we were like, making moves and like doing stuff. Um, and it definitely, we got publicity out of it. They pressed our first vinyl for us. Um, I say they, I'm pretty sure it was just Chris. Um, but in typical No Sleep fashion, at some point he just ghosted us and we never saw a penny from
Yeah,
the however many thousand records we sold, however many streams we had. He just
right.
pocketed that and effectively disappeared. So we through lawyers and a handful of well worded emails, we've managed to get uh the rights back to our music. There was actually a day where during all of that, the our whole EP or everything that No Sleep had got pulled from Spotify for a day, and we had to scramble to get it back up. um
Jeez.
but now we have like we're distributing all of our stuff through Wax Bodega now, and
Right.
we have a very different like arrangement with them where we're very cautious to like um take people's money or like sign over rights to anything.
Mhm.
But they have been super awesome to us. They have very great communication, very upfront about everything. It's been a great change. To be working with people like that and people who they really seem to care about the music. Uh Chris from No Sleep, funny enough, like, he never showed his face on a Zoom call or anything. I still don't even really know what the guy looks like. Um, and we would ask him to get on a call with us, and he'd email us back a week later and say that, like, sorry, he had to take his dog to the vet, but he can do next week. And then he just do this. It would take us months to get on a call with him. Like he
Right.
was
Yeah.
uh just dodgy. But we've heard that that kind of experience is a rite of passage for a lot of bands. And we're as much as it sucked to deal with that, after we'd all just quit our day jobs to go all in on touring and trying to make this thing work. And
Right.
then part of that was counting on we'd have, at least something coming from him. because we saw how the music was doing, but to have that rug pulled out from under us it really hurt. It really felt like I don't know, it just sucked. But
Yeah.
looking back on it now, we feel really lucky to have been able to like pull through that and to kind of learn and maybe share the wisdom.
Yeah.
Funny enough, people tried to warn us and we didn't believe them. So, it is interesting being on the other side of it though.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like Chris has been doing anything lately. It doesn't look like he's involved in anything. He's been very quiet. Hopefully, it'd make me very happy to not see him pop up and do this to any other bands.
Agreed.
Um,
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah, another band that I can't speak for them, but uh, I know to some degree they're in a similar situation in Kerosene Heights, where we're
Yeah.
taking them
Yeah.
out this spring, so
Hmm.
maybe maybe we can sit around the campfire and tell no sleep stories with them. But I don't know, it just sucks that there's people like that taking advantage of bands.
Right.
Because we were very naive. We were excited, you kind of get like the stars in your eyes when you see like, oh, a record deal, like holy shit, us.
Of course. Right.
And yeah, judgment can kind of go out the window, or you can be a little quick to act when things like that happen. And I really believe that Chris knew that and he took advantage of that with not only us but many bands. Yeah, I also know that well, I don't know. I know there's bands with NDAs who can't talk about it, but I don't have one, so
Right.
I'm I'm happy to talk.
No,
Uh,
honestly, man, it's it is a pretty remarkable thing that you guys made it through such a period of adversity like that, and were able to kind of keep it going. I mean, there were so many bands that you know like in the early to mid 2000s when Mikey and I were growing up and starting to listen to this sort of stuff, that like there's some bands that only lasted a couple of years because they just weren't making the money that they thought they were going to make, being out there touring. And a lot of people don't realize like there's glamour around touring, but I think once you're a couple of tours in, you start to see that glamour start to like fade away a little bit, and it
yeah,
just kind of really becomes what it really is, which is a bunch of guys crammed into a van, and maybe getting a cheap motel if you're lucky, and sleeping on floors and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's the price you pay to support your art, right? It just is. It's you have to cut your teeth and do that kind of stuff. But like I look at your lineage from where you started to where you are now, and I mean, I have to say it's a pretty quick turnaround time for um like a band like you guys to be so successful so quickly. I think it's kind of a really interesting thing. Is this something that, I mean, I know you guys said you guys really just started this in 2021 on campus to kind of just play some songs, but did
mhm.
you guys ever have a trajectory that looked anything like this, or was it just we're going to take it as it comes?
No, dude, we had no idea, and it's definitely not lost on us how quickly it happened. Um, but it kind of we kind of like felt things picking up, and uh I remember having conversations with myself when we were starting to do these tours, and you know we uh we all had day jobs at the time, and one by one we like burned up all of our vacation time going on tour.
Yeah.
And we each individually had this moment where we kind of had to pick between, like, do I say yes to this tour and quit my job, or do I say yes, like, no to the tour and hold on to this stable day job that's paying my rent right now. And we it was it kind of shocked us, especially in hindsight, like how quickly that moment came for us. um because we never thought this would go anywhere. We thought we were writing songs to play them for like people who went to the house shows
Right.
in our town, and maybe we'd run the DIY circuit a couple times and like play basements in other towns. Then
Sure.
then we really made it. um
Yep.
but when this really started to get some traction, we went all in on it. And we it wasn't like this thing took off and like it's taking care of us as soon as we leave our our little jobs behind, like we're the band's big now. It was, we quit our jobs, and uh like the bank balance starts dropping, and we're on tour sleeping in the van. We had a propane camp stove, and we would stock up on like uh you can buy like the bags that have like 8 packs of ramen noodles in them. We'd have like 10 of those in the trunk of the van. And we have stories about we'd pull into like county parks and stuff, and like sit there, set up the camp stove, sit around it with folding chairs, and we're each taking turns cooking our ramen noodles. And we've had we've had police officers like ask us if we have a place to stay, or like, I don't care that you're doing it, you just can't do it here kind of stuff, move along. Like we were roughing it for a while, and we just finally started getting hotels last year. Um,
Wow.
so I say finally, it did happen quick for us, but months and months of, I probably spent, if you add it all up, close to 3 months sleeping in a van,
Yeah.
with these guys on tour. And, um, I don't know. Another thing I hear is a rite of passage.
At least you guys are
Cutting
a
your
three
teeth.
piece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it helps.
For sure. Yeah, I think there's no like I was reading the book Sellout not too long ago, and like in the early 2000s and late 90s, like these bands that really like grinded their teeth and paid their dues, like were getting criticized when they finally were like ready to not do that anymore and like actually like have some stability. And
Mhm.
I'm like with the mindset of like, go get it. Like that you don't have to be stuck in that like DIY circuit. Like if you can play a 500,000 cap room, like go do it. Like sleep in a hotel and like enjoy this because we know how like this can come and go in the blink of an eye, right? So like enjoy that time that you can do this and like make music your profession. So like I'm all for it. Like I don't think
Yeah,
a band's like selling
thank
out
you.
by doing that or anything like that. Like by all means, because we've watched so
Mhm.
many of our bands from those early days that just couldn't survive and like because they were stuck in these smaller cap rooms and like not really getting paid and getting like taken advantage of by promoters and shit like that. So like
Or record
or
labels.
record labels. Yeah, like I know the no
Yeah.
sleep thing stings because it was for you, but like think about what Taking Back Sunday and Bayside and
Victory.
yeah, with Silverstein when like
Yeah.
labels were actually selling CDs and there was millions and millions of dollars being made from
No,
physical
I know.
media and like those bands have literally platinum records and like still have to work when they're not on tour. like
Mhm.
it's just like they lost millions of dollars. So like yes, I totally agree that it sucks that you guys had that terrible experience, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, and we're lucky we learned it at the time that we did. It sucks we learned it the hard way, but the fact that we learned it, before we got like the recent growth spurt that we did have, um, means that like, we know going forward. We know firsthand going forward how careful we need to be. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Just we're lucky enough to have gotten taken for the ride. There's so many bands out there that are writing like really, really, really solid music, and so many of them don't get the attention that they deserve. And for us to get it can sometimes feel like, we're the ones that got our name pulled out of the hat. Like just dumb luck. We ended up uh like really getting it. We're putting in the work, but so are so many other people. Like we're extremely grateful to be like in the position that we are in. So, I really don't feel like I have like there's even room for me to complain about like, oh, but like if this was different, then it'd be even better. Like we are literally like living our dreams at this point. And it's like
Mhm.
uh yeah, it's cool. And like remembering things in the context of the fact that, I don't have to set an alarm every morning to go work a day job, and like I don't have to I forget what day of the week it is sometimes. Like that is such a cool that's such a cool privilege that I have that it's not lost on me how lucky we are to have this.
Well, you won't have that luxury much longer, right? Because you guys are hitting the road in just a couple of days, so you're gonna have to know what day it is, right? At least.
Well, Tyson will have to. Um no. uh yeah, we're leaving. Today's Friday. We're leaving Sunday. Um, I'm seeing my family right now before we take off, but I'm driving back to Kalamazoo tomorrow morning, and then I gotta do my laundry, stuff everything into my suitcase, and try and get a full night's sleep before we leave. Um, yeah, I'm excited to get back out. We're doing the U.S. again. We're doing B markets this time, so it's kind of a lot of the flyover states and the cities that not a lot of people hit. the shows are they can be a lot more interesting. We're playing cities that we've never played before, so we have no idea how these shows will sell or, if we even have fans there. It's kind of part of the fun of it. We're seeing new places, and that's half the reason I enjoy touring is I've seen all but like 3 states in the continental US now, and it's exciting. There's so many people out there, and it's so cool to get, that far from home and have people show up that know the words to songs that we wrote. There's nothing like it.
Your first date too is Iowa City, but
It is, yeah.
you're cutting right through Illinois, going right over to Iowa. And it's funny, I don't remember if we were talking to somebody on the podcast or if I was talking with somebody separately, but they were saying how it's Iowa in general is such a drought when it comes to shows because a lot of people overlook them because they would rather go to Chicago or Madison or even just cut over to Minnesota and,
Mhm.
play all these other larger markets. But they were saying that, like, especially in like Des Moines and Iowa City, kids will go to shows just because there's nothing else to do or because they don't get to see so many live acts that are coming through all the time. So it's really interesting. And I think that you guys are going to have a really awesome time just because you're going to have the Saturdays at your place fan base, but you're also going to have these kids who are just looking for something to do that's not going out into a cornfield and drinking.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I remember I think it was the first time we played Omaha. I remember thinking like who the hell is going to an emo show in Omaha? I knew nothing about this place other than, whatever image might pop into your head when you say Nebraska to somebody. But we get there and it was I remember leaving that show thinking holy shit, like that was one of the best crowds I think we played to. And then we played Omaha again about a year later and it like threefold topped the other one. And that was kind of a moment where I realized that like these places where they don't get shows a lot, like those are the ones where like the people really show up and they literally like they mosh like it's their last show ever. I remember the last time we played Omaha, there was a there was a barricade at that show, which is not our favorite. We like to have the people right up in our face, but
Sure, yeah.
they had a barricade and they had two security guys that were between the barricade and the stage, and they were kind of off to the sides, like slacking off a little bit, and people were trying to stage dive, but the stage was a bit too far, so they were getting up like onto the rail of the barricade and just like jumping off of it from there. And the guys like notice this, so they start walking over. This guy climbs up on the barricade, jumps the guy onto the stage, and he's like doing this on the stage, like that while the security guy's trying to grab his ankles and pull him down and he ends up like jumping over the guy's head and landing on the crowd. And I don't know. I have fond memories of playing in Omaha. So and I don't mean to imply that Omaha or Nebraska and Iowa are the same place.
Omaha
Um,
number one.
okay, all right. I do. We have played Iowa. Well, we played Davenport a handful of times. And we played Des Moines before. But for some reason, Omaha really sticks out in my mind as it really solidified that the flyover states can be the fun ones to play.
Right, and I mean, you're absolutely right. There, you're hitting all these cities that tours usually don't hit. So a lot of these kids are going to come out, you know, just to have a fun time at a show. And
Mhm.
then so this is I don't know this little it's like you did a first half of this, and this is kind of the second half of the U.S. And then you guys are going to Australia next month, right?
Yeah, it's all kind of blurring together.
Crazy,
We
man.
we've got a lot lined up. We're in like a 7-month stretch of some really heavy touring right now. Um and we're getting a solid couple of weeks off here and there, but we did full US starting in October. That wrapped up like mid to late November. And then we were home for the holidays and then in January we went to Europe. We did Europe and the UK. We got back from that a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. Um and yeah, we're leaving in a couple days to do the US again, but we're basically doing all the cities we didn't hit the first time around. It's coast to coast again. And then we finished that tour in Colorado and we've got like 2 or 3 days to get home, do our laundry and then get to the airport in Detroit to fly to Australia. Um
God.
and I think we get home from that one, we've got maybe a month and then we're doing the US again with Hot Mulligan and we've got like a couple weeks, and we're gonna be back in Europe with free throw.
That's so
And then I
fun.
get to get a good night's sleep.
There you
Um,
go, man.
but yeah, you know, it feels crazy saying that out loud because even just a couple years ago, um, you know, I was in college thinking, you know, I can't wait to graduate and start my 9 to 5. So to you know, I don't know. It feels like I don't know. It's a crazy position to be in.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes I surprise myself with it.
Did you guys all get a
I mean,
chance to graduate? Did you all walk?
Um, I did actually that's a funny story. I didn't walk. I didn't realize you had to sign up for the graduation ceremony. I thought, you know, I thought they had your name on the list and you're just good to go. So I missed out on getting to walk. I got my diploma in the mail. My mom wasn't stoked about that.
yeah,
But
I'm sure he wasn't.
I managed to graduate. Um yeah. The other two went all in on the musician thing and it paid off for all three of us.
Yeah.
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, you know, I think sometimes you gotta just make that jump, and you guys did it. So this, are you guys still touring? Are you still like touring with like a van and trailer? Are we
Yeah,
getting
we're
to
in a van and trailer still.
are we getting to where we might be like in bus territory? Or are we still a
With a
couple?
bandwagon.
I don't know. You know, uh we still get a little sparkle in our eyes when we pull into a hotel. I think we're comfortable where we're at for the moment. Um
Hey, look,
I've heard
listen.
I've heard mixed things about bandwagons. I've heard some people say they're the greatest thing in the world. You know, like you have your own green room parked right outside the venue. And then I've heard other people say that, you know, they make them nauseous and they can't fall asleep until it parks at the venue anyways. So they're up until, you know, 3, 4 in the morning every night. I'm definitely curious. I'd love to try it. Uh, I just I don't know. The mixed reviews make me a little anxious. What have you guys heard? Is it a
I've
pretty unanimous thumbs up?
I've only heard reviews from like, well, no, maybe like 6 or 7 different bands. Every band that I've spoken to about it, and I think the most recent um person was Craig Reynolds from Straight from the Path, and he was like,
Okay.
I'm never going to tour not in a band, like a bandwagon or a bus. So I think it just varies, but I can kind of see where those bunks, because you're right up against the side of the actual van itself, or essentially like a
Yeah.
bus. So like the bunks are right there. So especially if you're not used to like that environment, or if you don't, honestly, like I would just say like take like a Tylenol PM and just knock out. But I can see like how some people could get motion sickness just because of the movement of the van going through, and you're basically like right on the axles and the wheelbase as you're
Yeah.
driving. So
I think bandwagons, I think they're converted box trucks, is what I've
yeah,
been told. So they don't have the suspension like a bus does. That's, you know, you
Right.
get for a
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
smooth
not
night's
smooth.
sleep. You know, part of me wants to say that, you know, I'm a proper road dog and I'd be lulled to sleep by the potholes. But, you know, I also wonder if like I don't know if the bunks have windows in them or not. So like if I'm
No.
in this dark box, yeah, dark box and you know, we're taking turns and stuff that I can't see coming. I could see that being an uncomfortable experience. I have heard 1 or 2 people say that just skip the bandwagon and wait until you can afford the bus, which just kind of puts the issue out of my mind entirely because
Yeah.
you're so ways off from being able to afford a bus now. One day it would be cool to try. And you know, like it'd feel cool to be on a bus. There's always a bigger fish, but like, you know, if I got to that point, you know, then I made it.
Yeah.
Um but you know,
Well,
that's kind of like the rock star image everyone has in their head.
well, how does it work when you guys go like to Europe or like UK or Australia? Like, do they? Because obviously you don't have you don't have like your normal gear and like your normal like equipment in your trailer and your van and all that stuff. So like when you get there, do you just like rent instruments and they have like a setup for you, or like how does that work?
So yeah, we're lucky enough to have some buddies that we've made over there through Free Throw. They're in a band
Okay.
called Eat Defeat. They're pretty cool. Eat Defeat has some fun stuff. But they rent us their gear. We fly with our guitars and pedal boards. Gabe brings his cymbals and his snare drum. But everything else, you know, amps, drum shells, hardware, everything we rent over there. Um, and then you know, we're not flying with our vans, so we rent a van and hire a driver and everything too. We don't do a trailer over there. We get one of those. We rent a Sprinter van. They're like the super tall ones. and we make a very, very sketchy stack of very heavy shit in the back of it. And then you open the door real slowly when you get to the next
Gotta put your
venue.
hand right in as you're opening it.
Yeah. Or so you'll be 3 hours into a drive and you'll just hear this like fucking colossal like thud in the back of the van, and then everybody says like, I'm not the one that's gonna open the door. But
Who's the
I
Tetris
don't know.
master of the band?
Normally, when we're over there, at least, it'll be the driver that we hire. They've got experience driving in those vans and stuff, and we normally hire a guy named Summers over there. He's actually in that Eat Defeat band, so it's all I guess we're very lucky to know Summers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
very
makes it
cool.
possible for us. But yeah, he'll stack things up there. When we're in the States, it'll usually be Tyson, because he's keeping an eye on all the merch, and like he has a system with it all organized and stuff that's it's above my pay grade to try and keep track of all that, so I don't mess with it.
Yeah,
And he's normally well, he's not always the one to load the trailer, but he's got the final say.
got
Um
it.
but yeah, it's never one person, it's always a team effort to some degree. But
It
yeah, we've all got our roles.
It's funny that you bring up Tyson, because actually that was like what I had in my notes, because Tyson is the one that coordinated this interview. And like, if you didn't know, you would think like Tyson's just another member of the band. However, like, do you guys consider him the fourth member of the band? Because seems like he's doing a lot for you guys. And like, I was watching a lot of your music videos and he directed a lot of them. So like,
Yeah.
it seems like he's really heavily involved with you guys.
Tyson is he is a massive part of the reason we're in the position we're in now. He's I I don't know. I'm tempted to say you could replace one of us easier than you could replace Tyson at this point. He is like uh like if he goes, the whole system falls apart. No, but he's really built everything, like everything in the back end, all the logistics and everything. He's really like built that up like from the ground with us, in a way that like it almost has to be one person that knows how it all works if you're gonna have one person like keeping an eye on everything. And he's put so much time and so much effort into like building this and making this possible for like all of us, himself included. Yeah, we're very lucky to have him. And he actually the first time we went out of state together, we had him with us to this was a DIY tour to play like a bunch of college towns like I was talking about. And we brought him and his camera with us just to this is before we were even like thinking we would need a manager for anything. Like he was very much like a buddy there with a camera to like document the thing for us.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he took videos they're on our YouTube channel now. And he's that eventually grew into the role of, like he's with us, so now I'll hang out at the merch table and like sell some shirts, and then like, oh well, now he's counting the shirts, and it kind of like, uh, we formalized it at some point, but it kind of grew into his role as, um, he was kind of the catch-all for a while, and like it kind of naturally grew into the role of being our manager. But now it's we get home from tour and that's our time to relax, but we handle as much as we can just internally with the four of us. So like our online store, we run it out of the living room of the house that Gabe and I live in. And he keeps all the merch like counted and organized. So like him and Gabe know where everything is to ship everything out. We print all of our merch ourselves, so he's doing a fourth of it along with the other three of us. And it's really him picking up stuff like that like made it possible for us to like go all in on this thing and like keep all the gears like oiled and keep everything moving the way it needs to so that it can function.
Now, when you say
Do you have like a
print,
whole like
like,
screen
yeah,
printing setup?
that was my question.
Oh yeah, my landlord fucking hates me.
So you got like the dryer and everything. You just kind of like push everything
Yeah,
through.
we've effectively ruined one of the bedrooms in the house that I'm renting.
That's
It
awesome. though.
reminds me of there's this show that was on Comedy Central called Workaholics, which is like I think one of the best shows
Yeah, I know
on television.
Workaholics.
There's this episode where they're trying to make beef jerky and they're fucking just ruining one of their rooms by just like hosing this like enormous like thing of like cow down, and like they end up like putting bleach on it and stuff. It's great. It's fucking great. What a show.
Dude,
What an incredible show.
Since it's a rental and it's not like an apartment where they have like a demo unit, you
Right.
know, that they can like show people who want to rent. They will literally like give us a heads up and then bring people through the house to be like, yeah, you know, like this lease hasn't been signed for next year. This home is available for you to rent. And I'm like shirtless, sweating, printing shirts in one of the bedrooms. And we have like more boxes of t-shirts than I can count, stacked higher than I am, in like a maze that you need to walk through to get through the living room. Like we're the entire first floor of the house feels like a warehouse. Like it's you know, I'd probably feel more comfortable in a hard hat walking through some areas of my own home. And they're showing this to people like, yeah, you know, like rent's only this much a month. And like, I've heard her prime the people right outside the door before they walk in before. She goes, yeah, it's a bit of a boy home. And then she like walks in with these like college kids that are thinking like, what the hell are these guys up to?
Right.
Um,
That's so
Never a
funny.
dull moment
You're
or,
just running a
you know,
sweatshop.
around us.
Yeah, you're absolutely gonna get like a rent notification increase. They're gonna be like, your rent's going up $4,000. They're just gonna price you
Yeah,
the fuck
you
out.
know,
And
we,
you're like, well, sorry, man.
You should just
I don't know.
find like friends with like little brothers or like friends that have like kids and just bring the kids in and act like they're working so you have like a child sweatshop next time they come through.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Like that
Just
would literally just like send them.
Danny DeVito just being like, "Ah."
Yeah.
No.
Have him keeping the kids in line. No. Um,
That's
yeah.
an episode of It's Always Sunny, like branching off of the sweatshop that they had in like season 3.
I was gonna say I thought he did have a sweatshop
He
at
did.
some
he did.
point.
Yeah, sweatshop. He
Him and
definitely
his
did.
business ventures.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
I just looked this up with my girlfriend the other day. He's 81
Yeah,
and still doing it.
he's still
They
kicking
just renewed It's Always Sunny for I think the 18th season.
it. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's
I think
you
I
know,
think they're saying they're gonna do like definitely 2 more, and then they're gonna see where they're at after that. But I don't know. 20 seasons is a pretty pretty good length. I mean, considering like what, like most television shows these days kind of go like 4 to 6, if that, you know?
yeah.
But like
Like,
I think a
every
couple
season's
years ago
good.
it became the longest running sitcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like live sitcom because The Simpsons is like the longest running animated, but this is
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the longest running like live actor sitcom.
Do
But
you know
every season's good. Like I don't think they
Oh,
really
yeah,
have like a
they don't
bad
slack on the
season.
writing.
No, they don't. They
Um,
definitely don't.
Funny enough, I forget this all the time, but our EP name, Always Cloudy, is in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference. And
Yeah.
It's Always Cloudy in Kalamazoo was, I was so proud of myself when I came up with that song title. That might be the single best thing I've ever created. You know, fuck the music. No, but
As someone who also wrote a song with a title named after an It's Always Sunny reference, I love whenever I see it, and I'll be like, "That's an It's Always Sunny reference." I'm like, I know
Mhm.
what it is because ours was Have You Ever Been in a Storm, Wally? From Mac and Dennis Moved to the Suburbs, and it's like, "Have you ever been to a storm, Wally? A storm of fists?" And he's just like stripping naked.
Oh, you put hunks of meat in it.
When Tom and I used to work together, we would always get lunch, and I would be like, "Oh, you changed up your salad today. You put hunks of meat in it." And there's just like the square ham cubes in his salad.
my girlfriend's got a playlist of songs that reference Always Sunny, and I was hanging out with her, and the first time I heard her play it, you know, I just thought it was like a playlist of good emo songs for like the first 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and then I started to notice there's at least one Always Sunny reference in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it really is a trope. Is that what they call it? Is it one of those?
I guess so. I guess it would be
Yeah,
a
I mean,
trope.
it's like, you know, I feel like they have had such a good run. They've developed their characters so well over time, right? I mean, it's just like, you know, like Dennis is like just a beautiful example of like, you know, who Dennis was in like season 4 to like who Dennis became in like season 13 or 14. Like
He's a
how
serial killer.
he's just slowly unraveling like more and more. Which
Yeah.
I love. Do you when you do when you're in the van, like you go on tour, do you like, are you like kind of like an on your phone kind of guy? Like, will you watch like stuff on your phone, or like do you bring like a portable DVD player? Like how, like what do you do to like keep yourself invested and going while you're on?
It depends. It's super easy to be a phone guy. But uh these days are not the best days to be on the internet. There's a lot of really sad shit happening everywhere.
Mhm.
So I
There
make an
is.
effort to not be a phone guy. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't.
Sure.
Um, I got a Kindle recently, so I've really been trying to make it through a book. I've gotten close a couple times. Um,
Right.
sometimes it's that, sometimes you hit the perfect position and you're actually able to fall asleep.
Yeah.
That that can be fun. It's like fast travel when you get it right. Um,
Yeah.
I got recently gotten into gaming.
Okay.
So I borrowed a Steam Deck
Nice.
from my girlfriend. She's letting me try that out for this tour. So I think I'm gonna be a gamer guy for the next month or two and see how that
Appreciate it,
fits
man.
me.
Hell
But
yeah, dude.
yeah.
I
Whatever
love we used to
whatever you
have
gotta do.
the Nintendo Switch, and we would all play, like, in each of the different rows, and we would all play, like, either Mario Kart or Smash Brothers, and, I remember one time we went on tour with this Canadian band, and we met them up in Connecticut, and they just got in our van, and we drove down, so it was about 9 people in a 15-passenger van. We're all just literally playing on our Switch, we were playing Smash Bros. And someone goes, "Oh, does anybody wanna give this up?" And one of the Canadian guys goes, "Oh, yeah, what are you guys playing? Like, I'll hop on." And we were like, "Oh, Super Smash Bros." He's like, "I've never played that game." And all of us kind of look
Even
at
I've
each
played
other,
that.
and we were just like, "He's gonna die. Like, he's
Yeah.
not gonna have a good time." And then
How'd it
after
go?
one round, he was like, I don't wanna do this anymore."
I've gotten lucky button mashing before, but you have to be playing against some pretty drunk people.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, that's
thing.
true. There are people that are so good at Smash Brothers, man. It's like unreal.
No, they
I mean,
lock
like,
in.
there are people that are like one of my favorite professional wrestlers, like plays like Street Fighter like competitively.
Really?
Like yeah, like it's a
Oh.
serious thing. Like it's
Mhm.
crazy.
You know
Like
you're fucked when they got a grip on the controller that you've never seen before.
yep. Or they pull out one of those enormous like arcade style controllers, and they're like plop it on the. They're like,
They're like,
okay.
"Oh, I don't need a controller, I brought my own," and you're just like, "Where do
Yeah.
you
Just on
keep
an
that?"
enormous plank of wood. It's like the size of a pedal board. It's like
It's like
fucking
I think it was like I think I was watching, like, because I watched, like, these, like, tour managers on, like, what bands bring on the road with them, like, very strange things. One band
huh.
has a full road case of just a espresso machine, so they can grind
That's
their own
fucking
coffee,
cool.
and it's a full thing. They have, like, distilled water and everything ready to go. But Bring Me the Horizon had the strangest one, and it was a full road case that they would open up, and it had a 52-inch screen inside with, like, a PS4, I think it was at the time that I was watching it, just hooked up with a hotspot so they could just game
Like
in the green
deployable
room.
game rig.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, "That is extra." Like, that's so much that you're doing right there. But I guess, I mean, if you're trying to just pass the time because you have to get to the venue at, like, 4 a.m. for a band
Mhm.
like that, I mean, it kinda makes sense.
Well, I'm gonna tie this to hockey just because, like
Go for it.
10 years ago, Alex Ovechkin was on like the behind the scenes, like Road to the Winter Classic show. And they like were in his house getting ready for like a road game. And he, he literally had a suitcase and all he did was take his Xbox and put it in the suitcase. And that's all he packed. It was
That's
just
awesome.
so on brand for Alex Ovechkin. The dude is just like such a kid, truly.
He's just like the most ridiculous Russian man that there is. Just
Yeah,
like
it was great.
toothless, and I love that. So you got so you guys put out this new record, and um you've been really kind of like beating the brakes off of it. And I
Yeah.
think that's a great thing. I mean, that's kind of what you have to do.
Mhm.
However, today we're in this age of social media and these streaming platforms kind of being of like the most paramount importance nowadays. Um, Being like a newer band, how have you guys adapted to using like some of the social media? Like, have you found it to be kind of a quick adaptation, or is it a little bit difficult for you guys?
Um, well, we've definitely always leaned on the music, as opposed to like really like reaching for engagement on social media as a way to grow. And I think we're really lucky to have had that pay off. I know there are so many artists who really have to like put in the hours like making content and stuff to get off the ground. Um we've uh we've really had like a different approach than that that is one way or another like really managed to pay off for us. Esden stays on top of all the social media stuff. Um and you know, he'd probably be able to speak to this more than I could, but collectively our attitude is kind of you know, it's a mode of communication, and, you know, it is a way to connect with people, but it's not, you know, how we really want people, like, consuming the stuff that we create. Like, we put effort into putting stuff on there. You know, like, bring people on tour and to shows to, like, record those shows so that we can, like, share these moments on social media and stuff like that. But we're not, sitting in a bedroom like, "Hey, I wrote this riff today," and, like, making TikToks and stuff. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that. That's just, not the approach that really resonates with us. So, it's definitely very important. We get a lot of really cool engagement, and it feels really cool to, you know, we have people from like the Philippines, and like, you know, a year or two ago, I remember some dude from Australia like DMing me like, "Hey, I found your band." And like this kind of like human connection is so cool to get through this. But I think that you know, we're not going out of our way for it in that sense. We're just kind of like throwing things up on there like as we're touring and doing the thing and like letting people find us through it. And I think it's made it really impactful, at least for us, to do it this way. Because it you know, it shows that people are like kind of seeking it out because of the music and not necessarily seeking the music out because of the content.
And you guys are kind of like a music video band. Like you guys have a lot of music videos.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of that is Tyson. Like we have a talented friend with a nice camera who's like always there. He's also pretty creative. Between him and Esden, they've come up with some really cool music video ideas. Um, and you know, with next to no budget, we've pulled off some like pretty fun stuff. Uh, and you know, like there, you know, it's been fun doing that stuff ourselves and, you know, being at, like, at a Target parking lot at 6 in the morning waiting for the sun to come up because we didn't finish filming a sunset scene the night before, and, like, just, you know, ending up in these, like, just, like, goofy situations that we're doing, like, for the sake of creating something to, like, help spread this art. Um, it's, yeah, actually, funny enough, I mentioned Tyson coming along with us for that first DIY tour we did. Um, that was what the tarot cards music video was. The bulk of that, all those shots of
Wow.
us like in different places, like sitting by that river with that boat coming along. These were like most of those were places that we parked the van to sleep overnight, and then like something would happen, and we'd be like, "Oh shit, there's something we can do," and we like jump out and grab the camera.
Mhm.
Um, that was yeah, so, you know, the content just kind of comes from, uh, like,
A
having
very
people
natural
around
place.
with cameras ready. Yeah. Like, we try and stumble across it instead of, you know, like, manufacturing it.
So then let's talk about the like one specific video because I was before on the interview I was folding laundry and I was like putting on all your music videos and the one for Cross My Heart came on. And like you know I'm folding laundry so I'm like half watching and then all of a sudden I just see like a guy chugging milk and then getting punched in the face and I'm like all right I gotta go back like why is this guy getting punched in the face, why is he drinking milk? And then I watched it like focused and I was like yeah there's no storyline, what the hell is going on, what was the inspiration for that video?
You're telling me you could drink at a bar and have someone come in and order a big glass of milk and chug it like that and it wouldn't piss you off? I don't wanna
Absolutely.
see that.
What about the
I saw a
McPoyles?
video
We'll
on
bring it
on
back to the Sunny, right? The McPoyles always drinking milk in the bar.
but you always wanna
Well,
punch the McPoyles in the face.
no, no. Uh, I don't know. That one was an Esden idea, but I think the absurdity of it is kind of the draw. You know, it's a conversation piece because it doesn't make too much sense. But you know, if you stop trying to make sense of it, that's when it really comes into focus.
It's great. And it's
Honestly,
just like a 1 minute
you can
like heater. Like it's like what, a minute and
Yeah, you
15
know,
seconds?
you can only fit so much plot into a minute and a half.
very true. But I mean, like the couple of the videos that you guys had done for this record cycle were great. I mean the video that you guys did for uh it's the second single you guys put out in the
Oh, what am I
supermarket.
supposed to do?
Yeah. When you're in the
Yeah,
supermarket, I thought that was like the coolest thing. Just like how like there was a plot going on, but like it was like kind of like very sort of loose, and then it was just like people like fucking around in like a grocery store in your hometown, and it's just like
No, that one was so much
what the
fun.
fuck? Like,
That Esden had the idea of, the alluring cashier and like the like starstruck boy trying to impress her.
yeah,
And he handed that idea over to Tades from Hot Mulligan, and he took that and, like, storyboarded the whole thing out and came up with all like the gimmicks, the angles, the different shots and stuff.
yeah.
And that's actually Tades' wife is the cashier in that video. So
Oh,
they
it's so funny.
yeah, it was sweet. They came out to Kalamazoo for that to spend a couple days with us and shoot it, and um yeah, we were really lucky and really stoked to have them on board and to like have them helping us out. And Tades is such a goofy dude. He comes up with like the craziest stuff, so it definitely added some spice to it to have him involved.
And to keep it on that track, because to me, and I've texted this to Tom and Justin all week, like to me, it's a perfect track. Like, what a great song. And it's like, do you feel the pressure? Like, how do you write a better song than that? Like, it's such a fantastic song.
Dude, we've been feeling the pressure since tarot cards got too much attention. Um,
Yeah,
I think genuinely, like subconsciously, that might be a big part of the reason it took us 3 years to write that album. Um, like we're just afraid to follow that up, and like there is a big chance that we follow it up, and we're just like, oh, we don't have it anymore. And I think we were kind of afraid to like rip the Band-Aid off and like see where we fell. We are we're stoked that it seems like we're still like putting stuff out that people are resonating with. And being that it was like 3 years between writing those releases, we've grown a lot as people. I have facial hair now. Things are different. uh
Time
so
has passed.
we're different now. We're writing lyrics that might like mean a little bit more than the lyrics that we wrote before. Like we've got a few more laps around the sun under our belt, so we've got new stuff to draw on. And I think our sound definitely matured a little bit with this album, and that was kind of nerve-wracking in its own way, because if you listen side by side with Always Cloudy, it's not the same release, which is a good thing. You don't want to rewrite the same thing and put it out over and over, but also it's different. So like, are people gonna like it? Are people gonna be like, this is the band that I go out to see still? But it seems like we delivered on it. One of the coolest things was we've done a couple like in-store record signings, and we've had people come and tell us that they've heard about our band because of Waste Away or because of What Am I Supposed to Do, and like Always Cloudy isn't even on their radar yet. So it's so cool to see people like actively getting into us for the first time. It kind of shows us that we still have the snowball didn't stop rolling at any point. Like it's still going.
Nice.
And I'm just really curious, like when you showed that song to your parents, right? Like, I don't know why I thought of this, and it like starts with an F bomb. Like, what were your parents like?
Mhm.
How did your parents react to that? Because, like, to me, it's like a tasteful F bomb. Like, you don't want to just drop them all the time, because then
Mhm.
it's just like, is this rap music? Like, what are we doing? But for me, I like it enhanced it. But like, did your parents ever
Yeah.
comment like, "Oh, why'd you have to use the F word?"
Oh, dude, they were pissed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually, I can get away with a tasteful F-bomb myself around my parents now. If it's not in excess, they respect it. But yeah, they've never said anything good or bad about it. So, at worst they don't like it, but they don't have the heart to say it.
It's like that SpongeBob episode. It's just a sentence enhancer.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I mean, like I think like in the context of the song too,
Yeah.
it's just like it's
Yeah.
just like so longing. It's just like that fuck. It doesn't come out. It comes out as like this like long like almost like sigh of like what the fuck am I supposed to? It's like and it's just like
Yeah.
I kind of love that stuff. Like I love when like lyricists kind of like play around with like how they phrase certain things, how they say certain things, because like the the inflection of human language is so much different. Like like where are you going today, or where are you going today? Right? It's like the
Mhm.
same sentence, but like the inflection you put on certain parts of a sentence essentially make that sentence mean something different. So like when I hear that, the first time I heard that, I just felt it was like somebody just like at their wits end, just like I like this person is like treating me like I'm not even here, and like what else can I do? Like I've tried all this shit, like what the fuck else is there, like um
Yeah.
and I think there's just some like there's some beauty in that, and I think that Hot Mulligan's another band that does that kind of like turn of phrase stuff really well. Um,
Mhm.
when like the lyrics aren't just the lyrics, but like if you pay attention to how the lyrics are like how they're inflected and how like they're written in the kind of like turns of phrases that like he uses, like I find a lot of similarities, with you guys in just terms of like the prose and the way it's written. But I think there's something about it that's just like, 24-minute record, it's just like, you could breeze through that. And like, I've done it, like I put it on and like, before you know it, the record's over,
Mhm.
and I mean, like, I kind of love that because like, if I'm listening to a record and like, I don't know what track I'm on, like, I usually think that's a good thing because I'm always like, oh, like
Yeah.
I'm so like enveloped in this record. Like, I don't even know where we are. I just know that like, it's part of this, like this piece of art. And like, where the fuck am I? I
I
don't know.
Yeah. I remember, like, having these kinds of conversations when we were writing it. Like, we wrapped up, Cross My Heart, and we were kinda sitting there going, like, like, where's the rest of it?" But, at the same time, like, you listen through it, and it's like, it's like, it doesn't let up, and then, it somehow it ends, like, leaving you wanting more, or, like, one
Mhm.
more listen. And the same kinda goes for the album. I remember totaling it up, and we were, like, really hoping we'd hit that 30-minute mark. Um, and we ended up, I don't know if it was kind of consoling ourselves in hindsight, or we ended up saying that, we'd rather leave them wanting more than wanting less.
Right.
Um, and we definitely did that because, we got some helpful Instagram comments, saying like, angry because there wasn't more, which is a pretty good comment to get, I
For
think,
sure.
if you view it from the right angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of fun, and it's if you do it right, there's probably a balance in there that, it's a good way to stay relevant, because uh, if you leave them wanting just a little bit more, then, like, they're tuned in for, like, the next time there's something,
Yeah.
coming out.
And I mean, also, like, you guys aren't writing like Mars Volta records. We don't need like
Yeah.
75 minutes of fucking you just like moaning into the microphone and like playing like a G chord. It's like,
Yeah. No, we
or
gotta
maybe we
keep
do
paying the
need that.
bills for a bit before we can get that experimental.
Yeah. I mean, look, listen, who knows? 2027, could be the third LP and just, take it in a whole weird different direction, just like become like a just be like Head Automatica, just be like a dance rock band. Just
Yeah,
like
I'll pitch it.
you can pitch it. I mean, it's tough,
We've 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 joked about just like a random hyperpop song 2/3 of the way through an album.
I
We'll
mean,
we'll
look,
get bored enough to do it eventually.
I mean, Ben Quad wrote a whole EP of like not Ben Quad music. They're like
No,
they're like
I
we're
know,
just
it's
gonna
awesome though.
we're just gonna like fucking do this. Like, and if they can
Yeah.
do it, anybody can do it. So like,
No, that's the kind of stuff that resonates with people though, because I think like listeners can sniff out when you're just trying to like write another album that you think is gonna land well.
right, yeah,
Like
yeah.
when like the best stuff is like when you can tell that the artist was making it for themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's that was a dangerous kind of game to play with ourselves, because we had this whole thought in the back of our heads, like, we're in here, we gotta follow up this EP. Like, we know that that's what we're doing. Whatever we're putting out is the successor to this. Um, but at the same time, we can't get so caught up in that we're like writing everything through the lens of comparing it to that former release. So that was kind of I remember talking between the three of us. That was definitely like a battle that we were kind of all having at the time.
I've got one last question for you, Mitch, and we appreciate your time and taking the evening out to hang with us. So, um, of the songs on the new record, like I don't want to play Song Exploder with you like as much as I probably could. I just don't want to do that. But I will ask you, of all of the songs on the new record, is there one that like became your favorite over time? Like maybe one that like started in a certain direction and just kind of developed into something where you were like, wow, I never saw this song like getting here.
Think, man, I do remember, Cross My Heart started out very different. It was like, well, it started out as, what became Welcome. And then, we kind of sat on that demo for a while, and, Esden had taken it and turned it into what Cross My Heart is now. And I remember, hearing his vocals on that for the first time and like being pretty blown away by it. Um, so that was, that I got really excited about seeing that one come together. Since we've recorded them, I think Loon Mobile has really grown on me. Not to say that I didn't like it at any point, but it's really become one of the like I think it's one of the strongest ones on the album now. That it's kind of like gotten to sit with the rest of the songs, and I've gotten to see it in the context of them. Um, that's one that kind of like pushes the boundaries of our sound a little bit, and it pushes them in more of that kind of like traditional Midwest emo direction that you might think of. But it does it in a way that I think stays true to what our sound is. And I think it's been exciting to kind of see myself embrace that and kind of like think about like how we could keep moving in that direction a little bit, or like bring those elements into our sound.
For sure.
Love that. Now, my question is just why is Long Island so lonely?
um, I'm in another band called Summer Brews, and
Oh, you're in Summer Brews?
yeah, I am.
Oh, sick. I wanna
Uh,
let's get them on too.
all right, yeah, yeah. I'll let him know. Mike loves doing podcasts.
Load it up.
But we put an album out last year also, and uh when we were recording it, we had booked like close to a month of studio time on Long Island, and we rented a van to drive out there, so none of us had our personal vehicles. We were all kind of stuck, like borderline snowed in this studio in like January, and I tracked all my guitar parts in like the first week, and I had like 2 full weeks left, like on Long Island before I had my ride back home with them. Um, so I got to know myself real well in those 2 weeks with all of my free time in this unfamiliar place. I picked up and still have my needles. I could pick it back up at any time. But one of the things that I ended up doing then
Love
was
that.
I had this melody kind of jump into my head, and then uh I ended up writing that song in the van while they were tracking other stuff, just with an acoustic guitar that I borrowed from the studio we were in. And that was one of the rare instances that I wrote a song and it all kind of just like came out of naturally in like one sitting. But that is the lore behind that one.
Okay. Well, Tom and I are from Long Island, so that like instantly resonated with me. I was like, huh, I wonder what's going on. I
We
was
know
like,
them.
maybe we need to introduce him to like
Yeah.
Moose Creek Park and Interlove so
Yeah,
he's not
it
so
was my
lonely.
first time out there. And I quickly that you're on Long Island, not in Long Island. Yeah. Yep.
Not in Long
Uh
Island.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
but
only
it
in
was
Long
cool.
Island when you're dead.
The quite the
True that.
sprawling suburb, if I do say so. We were in Islip. Am I saying that right?
What town were you guys in? Do you recall?
His name's
Yep.
Nick,
Islip, yeah.
and
What
he's
Who the
got
hell's
called
called
working
Dead End
out at
in
Studios.
Islip?
Islip? Yeah.
Um, I think he's only been working. So he's doing his own thing, but he's good friends with if you know Billy Menino. He did all the Oso stuff, and he did the songs that we have on our split that Summer Brews is
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
So they worked together for a long while, and they're still good friends. They'll like share each other and like bounce stuff back and forth off of each other. So kind of one of those friend of where you end up meeting new people. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I got one question for you, and this is more
Hmm.
guitar related. So I know that you guys are all Reverend guys. Love Reverend, awesome guitar shop. But you guys are literally in the city of Gibson, that used to be Gibson, that used to be Epiphone, and now it's Heritage. Have you been able to tour that
No, we
studio or that
haven't.
warehouse, the Heritage
I've
warehouse,
heard.
while
I
living
don't know
there?
if they're not, but I've heard that like Hark, like the company that does the hotels and like Hard Rock cafes, that they bought the property and they're planning on turning it into a Hard Rock hotel. Um,
Yeah.
but I've also heard that rumor's been bounced around for like 4 years now, and it's like how true it is depends on who you ask. Um, but I have not personally been there.
Yeah. Ooh,
Oh, that's
I have
sweet.
a 1970 Epiphone Kalamazoo guitar just sitting in its case. It was like handed down to me like from my grandfather, and I'm like, I would love to
Is
just
As
go and
far as
just
I
look
know,
at
it's
the
like in
factory
its
that it was
original
made in
condition
just
still.
like
Like
one
it
last
hasn't been
time.
touched. Yeah, and
It's been
that's just
closed since like
information that I pieced together for
73.
none of that is firsthand. But yeah, I do know that the Guitar Center in Kalamazoo, they've got a couple
Yeah,
of
it's
like the
fine.
Gibson Heritage guitars way up on the wall where nobody can reach them, and they're like $3,000-$4,000 each. Yeah.
Yeah, on a good day. I've seen like a
It's
1970s
I don't
grabber
even
from the Kalamazoo
who's
factory
spending
go
that
for
much
like
money on a
22 grand.
guitar?
The
Yeah.
same people who buy PRS guitars
Yeah,
to
it's
hang them
they're
up
a collector's
in
item
their
at that
house just
point.
for looks. Yeah,
And
you know, I don't.
it's also crazy, like going on tour, like too, like if
Yeah.
your gear is too expensive, man, like you're putting yourself out there, a little
Yep.
target on your back, unfortunately, like I can't even count on fingers and toes, like all of the bands over the past year that have been,
We had our reverend
um,
stolen.
like
Um,
gotten their vans broken
yeah, we
into and all
had
this kind of stuff. And it's just like,
we came out of our hotel
no
one
Ooh.
morning
way.
and
That's
the
so
trailer
shitty.
is
My
just missing.
God.
And they were able to so we parked in a well-lit parking lot with cameras on it, and they were able to pull a video of these people like uh you know how heavy a trailer is. Two dudes lift the trailer off. Well, they broke the lock like with a hammer, lift the trailer off onto a little SUV and like pull it out. They did that by hand, and it took a good couple of days before um, eventually they tried to sell our
Insane.
guitars in a guitar center. I think it was like 10 minutes away from where our hotel was where it got stolen.
Hmm.
And by that point, we had sent an email out to every guitar center in like a 3-state area, like, hey, if you see this stuff, it's ours. And guitar centers don't see reverends come in a lot, and they see like literally the two or three reverends that we had stolen show up there.
Mhm.
um we never got our pedal boards or amps back, but the person that tried to sell our guitars at the guitar center had the trailer at his house, and it still had all of our merch in it, so uh we got more back than we expected to.
Nice.
But yeah, just speaking about other things that can happen on tour. There was a show we played in Phoenix, Arizona once, and somebody I don't remember if they were crowd surfing or stage diving or what, but they like, full on took out Esden, like laid him out on his back, like unintentionally. But like one thing led to another, and this person flew into him, and he was just
Oh
sprawled
shit.
out on the stage for
Yeah.
a second. Like I can't imagine playing a show like this with an instrument that I've spent like
Yeah.
thousands of dollars on.
Oh,
Yeah. That being said, like Reverend
no,
makes
and
a
like
thousand
insane,
dollar guitar
insane.
that plays like I have a Strat that I've had for years that's worth like twice as much as my Reverends are, and I'm ashamed to admit how little I touch that guitar because the Reverends play so nicely. Um, it's yeah, they make really cool stuff.
I love the
They just
Charger
launched a bunch of new
series.
get pretty sweet too. They do like interesting colors and stuff too, which are they've got all the the safe options like muted colors and stuff. But if you want a neon green guitar or a one, like they also and they I don't know. They're a fun company and they're great people too. We've met this out. They offered to just straight up replace our instruments stolen. And at that point, we were like a pretty, we weren't nearly as big as we are now. There was nothing in it for them to do that, basically. We'd been playing their guitars for like a year on the road
Right.
point. They wanted us to keep playing their guitars on the road. Um, but yeah, they're really cool people and they've been really kind to us. And they got to let us check out their stuff before they announced it, which was pretty fun. It feels cool. Yeah, they are. Their warehouse is
That's
in
awesome.
Toledo now.
They're
But
Detroit
they are a
based,
Michigan
right?
company originally.
Yeah.
Nice. Fuck yeah, man. All right. Well, let's we'll let you get on for the rest of your evening. We appreciate you taking all this time to chat with us, man, Mitch. It's been such a blast. Before we let you go, if you just want to give us a quick shout out to socials
Yeah.
and stuff where we can
Well,
find
you
you,
can find
and
us
then
search
we'll let you
Saturdays at
go
your
into the
place
great
just
night.
about we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I think we have a TikTok. But if you want to find us, you can. It's not too hard. Spotify and stuff too. But the best place to find us is at a venue near you. Um, uh, I leaned into how corny that sounded, and it still didn't sound great. We're going on tour. It's the best part of it. You can meet us and see me in person, and uh,
No, sounds
I play my guitar, and my friends play their instruments too, and it's a lot of fun. Um, and come say hi. Fuck yeah.
we really appreciate you being on here and chatting with us and taking the time to chat about the record. Yeah, it was great. It was a great time. And then um uh we will definitely be in touch about possibly getting Summer Brews on,
Sweet.
because
Thank you, dude.
I love that record. That record's one of my favorite records. And uh and
Yeah.
would be fun to have you on again and BS with you a little bit more. So, um, awesome. All right, sick. Well, for me, I'm Tommy V. That's Mikey, and that's Justo. It's been Mitch from Saturdays at Your Place, and that's all we got. So, until next time, peace be with you.
And also with you.
And with your
Also-
spirit, buddy. You gotta get up. You gotta get up with the
Yeah.
times. I haven't been to
Thanks,
church in
guys.
like
It was
20
really
years, and I
fun
know
being on
that.
here, and it was great getting to know you guys.
Blast,
Amen,
man.
man.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
You have a great
man.
night, bud.
Peace.
Thanks, man. You too.